Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the hopefully elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indian, and Haitians. Gotta give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, the Most High, the Heavenly Father. His name is Yahweh, not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not Allah, not God, not Ahia. It's Yahweh. Not Elohim. It's Yahweh. His only begotten son name is Yahweh Shai. Not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Yeshaya. It's Yahweh Shai. So gotta give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, and a sincere salutation to all the Akim, pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. And shalom to the Akwaf who are listening and learning, the few sisters who are listening and learning. I'm Isaiah from the GMS Orlando camp, coming at you another lesson in true facts, faith, and edification, another daily edification. Lord's willing, let's be edifying. And the title of this lesson, let the weak say, we are strong. Lord's willing, let's be edifying.
Of us wonder how much a country spends on military equipment and how much it accounts of its annual GDP. The military budget is one of the basic and the most reliable way of verifying country's potential in terms of army, navy, air force, and other military elements. Of course, every individual country spends different amounts of their annual earnings on military. In this video, we would like to present the world's top 15 military spenders. This is a list by the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute 2019 fact sheet for 2018. So enjoy watching the video. At number 15 is Turkey. Its military spending budget is $19 billion, which is 2.5% of its GDP. Canada stands at number 14 in terms of military spending, which is $21.6 billion, and this accounts for 1.3% of its GDP. At number 13 is Australia. Though there was a decrease in military spending right from 2017 to 2018, it still stands at number 13. It decreased to $26.7 billion, and percentage of GDP is 1.9%. The fifth largest country in the world, Brazil, is at number 12. This country's military spending budget is $27.8 billion. It accounts only 1.5 out of 100 of its GDP. At number 11 is Italy. Same like Brazil, its military spending budget decreased to about $27.8 billion, and this accounts 1.3% of its GDP. At $43.1 billion is South Korea. Standing at number 10, its defense spending is mainly focused on the development and improvement of defense capabilities to counter potential threats from its rival North Korea. Percentage of GDP is 2.6%. The Japanese government set aside $46.6 billion expenditure in 2018, which enables the nation to enhance its defense capabilities to counter potential threats from the missile systems of North Korea. But this accounts for only 0.9% of its GDP. At number 8 is Germany. Its final spending is $49.5 billion in 2018 for defense, recording one of the biggest increase since the end of Cold War. This accounts for 1.2% of its GDP. At number 7, we have the United Kingdom. Its military spending in 2018 is $50 billion, and this accounts 1.8% of its annual GDP. At number 6 on this list is Russia. It plans to upgrade its strategic nuclear assets, submarines, aircrafts, helicopters, and many more, of which it spends $61.4 billion, of which it accounts 3.9% of its GDP. At number 5 is France. This country is primarily driven by the modernization of armed forces, counter-terrorism efforts, and peacekeeping operations. France's military expenditure for 2018 is 63.8 billion US dollars, and this is 2.3% of its GDP. At 66.5 billion US dollars is India, which stands at number 4. It enhances its defense capabilities as it is driven by anti-terrorism measures with Pakistan. This amount is 2.4% of its annual GDP. At number 3 is Saudi Arabia. Its military spending in 2018 is 67.6 billion US dollars, and this accounts at a jaw-dropping 8.8% of its GDP. At number 2, territorial disputes with neighboring countries and arms race with the US continue to propel the growth of the Chinese military budget in 2018. Well, its military spending budget is 250 billion US dollars, and this is 1.9% of its GDP. At a whopping 649 billion US dollars, the US military spending budget is nearly 3 times that of China. The United States spends far more on its military than any other country in the world. Percentage of GDP is 3.2%.
And why does North America have to spend the most on military? Because these other countries, all these nations that's joined in North America through the UN will destroy it, man. So North America have to spend the most money on military. But guess what? They're going to be destroyed, man. They're going to be destroyed. Because everybody, all the nations is going to join with Russia to destroy this place, man. So let me get Joel. Matter of fact, let's read Obadiah first. This is Obadiah, chapter 1, and verse 7. And it reads, all the men of thy confederacy, that's talking about the UN, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. So it say, this is a future prophecy, man. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. What border? To fight, man. Okay, and to tell you what, in Jeremiah, the least of the flock should draw them out, man. Okay. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. That's talking about all the other nations. And prevailed against thee. Why? Because the Lord is raising up these other nations to come against North America, man. Okay. It said they have prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is no understanding in him. So, they're going to be destroyed by the other nations. This is Joel, chapter 3, starting at verse 9. It reads, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. So they're beating their plowshares into swords, and their pruning hooks into spears. Plowshares is tools of agriculture, and pruning hooks are tools of agriculture, man. And the Lord say, beat your plowshares into swords, into missiles, and your pruning hooks into spears. So don't worry about putting money into your economy when it comes to food and resources. No, put it in the missiles, man. Okay, weapons of war, which are these intercontinental ballistic missiles. That's why you see I did a lesson like a couple months ago, and these people is hey, they starving out their countries, man, so they can have their military defense upgraded. Okay, they are upgrading their military, man. Missiles, tanks, these jets, everything that had to do with war. These countries, all these countries, and you just seen it, man. You just seen it. All these countries is spending millions and billions on military, man. Be your plowshare in the swords, and your pruning hooks in the spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen. That's talking about all those 17 heathen nations. And gather yourselves together round about thither. Cause the mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. It say, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Hey, that's what. Hey, when the elect gets sealed, the harvest will be ripe, man. And the Lord gonna bring World War III on the earth. Get you down for the press is full. The vats overflow, for the wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. So this war is finna go down by these nations, man. And they're going to destroy North America, Babylon the Great, with missiles. So they're spending their money on military, man. And you see, on the top of the list was North America with the highest spending budget, man. Why? Because all these nations is going to turn against North America, man. So they gotta ante up on military. Talking about the Space Force.
Live from the world headquarters of RT America in our nation's capital, this is the news with Rick Sanchez.
And hello again, everybody. I'm Rick Sanchez. Tonight, it would appear to the casual observer that Russia has finally had enough. This morning, its Air Force began shelling militants backed by Turkey. Now, let me make this very clear. Russian military assets are now, for the very first time and in a very public way, taking on the jihadists who are backed by Turkey and backed, by the way, by Al-Qaeda. This is a very significant step for Russia, one that it apparently did not take lightly. For the past week, as we've been reporting, ever since Turkey began its attacks against the Syrian government, Moscow has been trying to tap down this conflict. Russian diplomats have been in countless meetings with Turkish diplomats. It's even reported that President Putin and President Erdogan have been speaking by phone to each other as Mr. Putin tries to convince Mr. Erdogan to try and halt his incursion into Syria, an incursion which has escalated the fighting in Syria. But Erdogan would have none of it, growing bolder with each passing day, threatening to wipe out the Syrian army while bragging about the number of Syrian casualties that his military has inflicted. Now, his military is being confronted by assets of the Russian Air Force. As the world wonders, where is this going to lead? Turkey, already in Libya, has now extended its reach into Syria, as many begin to wonder to what end? And how far is Erdogan willing to push the patience of the supposed friendship that he has with President Putin? So listen, we're going to drill down on this potentially dangerous situation, which could escalate far beyond Syria's borders, here on the news with Rick Sanchez, where we believe it's time to do news again.
You see, this is a confusion right here, man.
Okay, here's the list of the questions that we think you'll be asking tomorrow. So how far is Turkey willing to push Russia militarily now that Russia is pushing back? Are the videos coming out of China giving us a true glimpse of what's going on there? And what happened when a politician crashed a construction vehicle into a group of protesting policemen in Brazil? Wow, there's pictures of that. But we're going to go ahead and begin now with the latest news that's coming out of Turkey, where Russia seems to be sending Turkey a very direct signal that Moscow will not sit idly by while Turkey continues to be at war with Syria. To understand this standoff, we probably should consider how this all came to be. How did Turkey suddenly become a key and controversial player on the world stage under the leadership of one Recep Erdogan? 2014, Turkey pays a retired U.S. general and his company more than $500,000 to lobby on its behalf. Michael Flynn would later be convicted after taking a job as Trump's national security advisor, but never revealing his secret deal to lobby for Erdogan. 2016, a coup against Erdogan is brutally put down by the president's loyalists. 300 were killed, more than 40,000 people detained by Erdogan's forces. Jump to May 2018. Erdogan's reputation as a strongman further emblazoned when his security detail attacks U.S. citizens protesting outside the Turkish embassy. Their goonish attack suggested a level of antagonism and unsophistication which seemed to stick with Erdogan. December 2019. Erdogan, being heavily criticized in the Western press, angers Washington by signing a deal with Russia to buy its coveted S-400 missile defense system. Later that same month, in 2019, the U.S. strikes back at Erdogan, threatening to sanction Turkey for cozying up to Russia and buying its said defense system. Then, as 2019 comes to a close, Erdogan returns fire on the U.S. He threatens to kick the U.S. out of its own base in eastern Turkey. The base is one of the U.S.'s most strategically important position in the world, with the capability of deploying nuclear warheads. Then, on the second day of this new year, 2020, Turkey sends troops into Libya, vying for the oil-rich nation's reserves that is said to be some of the best quality crude in the world. And finally, just as the world starts to notice Turkey's military expansionism, they do it again. This time, Turkish troops go into the Idlib province in Syria in a direct confrontation with Syrian troops, knowing it would not sit well with his supposed ally, President Putin. Interesting stuff. That's how we got to where we are today. But now what we want to do is try and give you a glimpse of what's actually going on the ground there in Syria. Here is Yulia Shapovalov.
Now, this is Ezekiel 38:1. And the word of the Lord, Yahweh, came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh power, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy claws, into thy jaws. And this is talking about the old Soviet Union spirit. The Lord is going to turn them back because the Russians are in that land now. And I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horse and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with buckler and shields, all of them handling swords. It's a Persia, which is Iran. We know Ethiopia and Libya, those are the Hamites. It say with them, all of them with shield and helmet. It say Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself. It say thou and all thy company, they are assembled unto thee. And be thou a guard unto them. Now it said, be thou a guard unto them. That's why Russia is supplying these nations with the S-400s. So it said Persia, which is the Iranians, Ethiopia and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. All these nations is going to join Russia to destroy North America. Now, it said Persia, Ethiopia, Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer and all of his bands, and Togarmah of the north quarter. We know Russia is Magog, Iran is Persia, Meshach and Tubal, the former Soviet states. It said Gomer is Eastern Europe, and Togama is Turkey. So these nations is going to join with Russia to do what, man? This is all a build up to destroy North America, Babylon the Great, with missiles, man.
Oliver reporting for us tonight.
The Turkish and Syrian military entered into direct confrontation in the province of Idlib. According to journalists on the ground, the operation was carried out in the village of Nayrab. A column of Turkish military equipment, including several tanks, headed towards this small city. In addition, artillery strikes were reported. According to the first data, both Turkish soldiers and fighters of the armed opposition were participating in the offensive. According to observers, as a result of the first battle near Nayrab, 2 tanks of the Syrian army were destroyed. A video also appeared on the network showing the shelling of the Syrian army by Turkish rocket artillery. According to the Russian Center for Reconciliation in Syria, Turkish-supported militants were able to break through the defenses of the Syrian government forces. In response, the Syrian side has requested assistance, so several Su-24 Russian airborne fighters were scrambled and hit the militants, destroying a tank, 6 infantry fighting vehicles and 5 pickup trucks with large caliber weapons that allowed the Syrian forces to repel the attack.
To prevent militants from moving deeper into Syrian territory, Su-24 aircraft of the Russian Air Force, at the request of the Syrian command, have carried out airstrikes against the advancing armed terror groups. This allowed the Syrian troops to successfully repel all attacks.
The Center for Reconciliation also said that during the shelling, 4 soldiers of the Syrian government army had been injured. At the same time, the Turkish Ministry of Defense reported on the killing of 50 Syrian soldiers. Meanwhile, the Turkish Defense Department reported the deaths of 2 Turkish military personnel. 5 more were wounded. President Erdogan said that happened as a result of a strike by the Syrian Air Force. On February 19th, Mr. Erdogan announced his readiness to conduct a military operation in Syrian Idlib. According to him, the beginning of the operation was only a matter of time.
The Idlib operation is imminent. In particular, we will not leave Idlib to the regime, which has not yet understood our country's determination on this issue, and those who are encouraging it. We are committed to making Idlib a safe place for both Turkey and the people of the region at all costs.
Washington expressed support to Turkey, which is its NATO ally. The Turkish leader also noted he was dissatisfied with the negotiations with Russia on the settlement of the conflict, since they had not brought the desired results.
Now you see, now Putin sold S-400s to Turkey, but Turkey, hey, they double-minded, man. Now they back with Turkey as the ally of North America, and Russia isn't. Russia is its own, basically its own branch of military, man. Russia has never been joined with North America, and that's why all these nations are gonna leave North America and go to Russia, man. Okay, that's why I say it's telling Russia in Ezekiel 38 to be a guard. It say be a guard, man. But you got Putin then sold his S-400s to Turkey, and they wishy-wash, man. It say Ezekiel 38:7. But thou, it said, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company. They're talking about all the other nations. They're eventually going to join with Russia. That are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them, man. Okay, but you got these Turkey, they back and forth between Russia and North America. But in the end, Turkey is going to lead North America, man. Hey, but this show you the confusion, man. How the Lord got confusion on these people, man. This is the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Abishah.
Operation Idlib escalated in January when the Syrian army, in spite of the ceasefire initiated by Russia and Turkey earlier, intensified actions against militants in Idlib. Groups of the armed opposition and those whom Damascus considered terrorists concentrated there. As a result of the offensive by mid-February, the Syrian government forces managed to occupy almost half of the Idlib de-escalation zone and leave Turkish observation posts behind. However, such an advance outraged Ankara. In response, more than 100 targets were attacked and militants shot down down two Syrian helicopters in the sky above Idlib. According to Moscow, Turkey is not able to separate the armed opposition, which is ready for dialogue, including the Syrian Free Army, from the terrorists. Moreover, extremists continue to attack the Syrian military and civilian areas outside the Idlib zone and also trying to strike at the Russian base of Hmeimim. Secondly, hundreds of fighters from terrorist groups are moving to Libya, where Turkey is also involved in hostilities. That's according to Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. So the situation remains tense. Plus, all that looks like a new aggravation between Russia and Turkey. Yulia Shapovalova for the news with Rick Sanchez.
So that's the picture. And now there's one more caveat that we want to share with you. We learn that Turkey is now threatening to use the very same S-400 weapons sold to it by Russia in this battle, supposedly against Russia and Syrian troops in Idlib. Wow. Joining us here now on the set is former Pentagon official Michael Maloof to try and bring us up to date.
Confusion, man. The Lord got confusion on these people. It
seems like every day it's Erdogan, Erdogan, Erdogan. Does he have no limits?
I think he does, and I think he's going to. He's pressing the envelope here, but I think at some point he's going to stop. We're already seeing intense negotiations going on behind the scenes, and there's also a meeting supposed to be held in Tehran next month to talk about Idlib. I don't think he's going to go kinetic. I mean, to use his direct military force against the Russians. If he did that, then all bets are off. But for now, we're seeing that he's just being bombastic. He's threatening a lot, but he's not going to push. Putin.
You don't think?
I don't think he'll push Putin to the brink because Turkey needs Russia more than Russia needs Turkey.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But that line in the sand that keeps being drawn, he keeps walking over it.
Yeah.
You know, for the last 2 weeks, you and I have been talking about this story, and there's a line, and we keep thinking he's not going to he crosses it. He's not going to he crosses it.
Well, that's because...
so this morning when I woke up and I heard that the Russian Air Force is now being used against the militants that are backed by Turkey, I thought to myself, and I expressed...
Hey, these scriptures don't lie, man. Russia is just like North America now, man. Okay? Russia is just like North America now, man. That's why Ezekiel 38 and 39 is important, man, in this World War III pattern, man. Because Russia is the main nation, man, that these other nations are going to join. And this guy playing with fire, man. But you know, this is the work of the Lord, man. Okay? It's all a big trick bag, man, to keep these people throwed off, especially to keep Babylon the Great throwed off from what's really going on, man. Giving them a chance, thinking they got a chance, thinking that Turkey's going to be joined to them. No, man. Turkey's going to leave the UN. They're going to leave NATO or the EU, whichever, or they're going to leave NATO, right, which they're part of the UN. But this is the game. This is that chess move. These are the chess moves that Yahweh is doing, man. Hey, Turkey playing with fire, man. How you gonna use the same S-400s that this man sold you? Man, you do you think if Putin got S-400, if Putin sold them S-400s, you don't think he got an S-500, man? Or an S-600? Hey, it was said last year we went into this, man. This man got S-700s, man. So you gonna take your little S-400 and try to use them against somebody that sold you the S-400s? If I sell you something, you think I don't got something better than that? Come on, man. Russia is just like North America when it comes to military power, man. Otherwise, it wouldn't be scripture. Otherwise, the Lord wouldn't have Babylon the Great to be thrown down by these other nations, man. It tell you in Revelation 17 and 16 that they shall make her naked and desolate and eat her flesh and burn her with fire, man. Okay? And it told you that the Russians going to be a guard to all the other nations, man. Can't make this up. These are the words of the Heavenly Father. And it's going down, World War III. But this is just confusion to keep people thrown off on what's really going on, man.
Rested in the monologue just a moment ago. Russia's finally saying, look, we've had enough with this guy.
Well, that's true. That's true. They're basically saying that to Turkey that we're going to go ahead and take back Idlib, and in fact the Syrians have taken back much of the territory. Erdogan's problem, he doesn't want another million, up to 1 million refugees flowing into the country, and that is a legitimate problem for him. But he's also got other ideas in mind. And here again we're seeing that Putin is being very cautious. They need each other because Turkey is part of this multipolar world order that Russia has envisioned with China and with Iran.
What if there are back channel conversations taking place between Erdogan and Washington, where Washington is egging him on?
Yeah.
Is that a possibility?
Oh, it's a total possibility because it's in Washington's interest to try to drive a wedge among Turkey, Russia, and Iran.
Of course, but
Right.
will Erdogan bite?
Only to a point, but I don't think he's going to go over the limit. I don't think he'll go over the brink.
Does he feel like it behooves him to continue to manifest a relationship with Mr. Putin?
Oh yeah, it's going to be absolutely necessary for him to do that because of the reliance on his economy is going down the toilet virtually because and he has increasing opposition from within. So he's got to be very, very careful. He has not delivered politically to his constituency on reforms that he has been promising since he was the prime minister.
So his situation in his own country is still somewhat tenuous?
Oh yeah, it's very tenuous.
Is that why he's doing this? Because he wants to look like
He's
Mr. Macho?
he's trying to gather support, but from the Russian standpoint, from what I'm hearing from my sources, is that Putin is being cool. He's going to stand back and at the same time be adamant about protecting Assad's forces. But on the other hand, he also sees.
Yeah, but what
again,
if,
it's the devil you know, then the devil you don't
yeah,
know.
but what if Erdogan pushes him? What if Erdogan does go kinetic? What if Erdogan shoots down a Russian, attack helicopter or something?
Then it's going to be a real problem. Ultimately, as I said earlier, Erdogan needs Putin more than Putin needs Erdogan at this point.
But Erdogan's highly unpredictable, Michael. I mean,
He's being bombastic.
Seems to me,
he's like Trump. He's being bombastic in order to gain leverage. He's trying to leverage both Washington and Moscow, but he can only go so far.
But he's not crazy.
He's cunning. He's cunning, and he sounds crazy. But he also has another agenda, and this is where he also serves Putin's purpose in that he can be the bridge with 41 other Muslim countries, and this is in keeping with what Moscow has in mind in the long term.
Yeah.
And this is something we're also watching.
He's a catalyst. Okay, final thing. I think we're down to 30 seconds.
Okay.
Merkel and Macron, Germany's leader, France's leader, have both come forward just in the last half hour, and they said, we want to be part of the de-escalation efforts.
Yeah.
We want to sit down with Erdogan and Mr. Putin and try and work this thing out.
Well, because they're concerned about the flow of refugees being, the spigot being released by Turkey and throwing them into Europe. He could release 3 million immigrants immediately into Europe, and they don't want that.
And those immigrants are causing all kinds of kerfuffles in those countries.
Oh, yeah.
Story that we're going to get to in just a little bit about something that happened last night in Germany. Thank you, Michael.
Pleasure.
Good conversation. Tonight we're continuing our look.
Hey, so there you go, man. Hey, eventually, this guy gonna have to fall in line, man. Cause Putin, Russia, is the new North America, man. Russia is the new North America. Hey, Lord, what is edifying? Gotta give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rikah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. We're well. We teach well in the sincere salutation to all the octane pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four ends of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. And shalom to the Akwa who are listening and learning, the few sisters who are listening and learning. Lord, with edifying, till next time I say shalom.